Wake up, buyer payer people. It's a beautiful day. Go grab yourself another cup of joe and say hello to Jim and Michelle Rhoads on the Buy Here Pay Here Morning Show. Take it away, you two.
Everybody, happy Friday.
It's Fishing Friday.
It's okay. Well, so those of you who our clients know, and if you try to send us an email later today or whatever, we're going fishing.
We're going off the grid.
We're going off the grid.
As I've been saying to people, the only way to reach me for the next 4 days will be by smoke signal. So I hope you're up to speed. If there's something important, you have to send me a.
Well, and I was telling Jim when we decided to do this, because we just finished the all day long event, and Jim's been like, I really want to go fishing and I want to go do the stuff. And I enjoy camping. Yeah, I do. And, so, it was like, it's been probably 2.5 years since we've gotten away, just the two of us, without it being family or work related when we travel. So this, I'm looking forward to it. And, it's, cause it's so nice when you're so plugged in to unplug and like no cell signal, no whatever, because it's nature's firm way of saying stop.
Yeah.
So we're looking.
Yeah, we're due for a break. There was a lot of work leading up to that virtual event, which, by the way, that Tuesday event feedback has been excellent.
Yeah.
Everybody's really seen a lot of value in what we shared.
And I've had a few people reach out to me that said, hey, I tried to get a ticket. The event had passed or whatever. If you all want to get, access, just let me know. And we can, the recording should be out there sometime next week. Mm-hmm. So it's just some really good information that really all dealers should have access to.
Yep.
So,
and our Monday episode will be a pre-recorded. We will still be off the grid Monday morning, so you won't be able to have a live chat.
Yeah, but we do appreciate when people chime in and say good morning and all of that. It's good stuff.
We have former dealer Jason Goodman standing by.
We had him on last week.
Yep.
Yeah. Last Monday of
and today will not be the last time. There's so much to talk about to begin to share with our listeners Jason's expertise. We're going to have him on many times, and we've really, I got to say, we have really enjoyed working with Jason and his team in terms of their expertise level is
and
high.
Good morning, Jennifer.
Oh, hey,
so
Jennifer
good to
Finley.
See you. Yeah,
cool.
Yeah,
good.
Love it.
Good to hear from you, Jennifer.
So should we just bring Jason in
and
just kind of get started? One of the reasons, hey, Jason.
Hi.
Welcome. We're glad to have you. One of the things that, we've been, good morning, Jonathan. We've been working with Jason on some other things with some clients and just are really experiencing the wealth of understanding about lead management. Jason has a company that does BDC and just about everything else that you could potentially outsource.
Yeah.
So just as we're working with other clients and just from conversations we've had with Jason has so much background in measuring and optimizing and just understanding how systems and processes and things flow and where you might be able to see that there's a bottleneck and all of that it's just like, oh my goodness, Jason will be on again and again as things kind of roll out with different topics. But we were here today to talk a little bit more about lead management and how to convert more leads into buyers.
So Jason, since some of our folks may be tuning in, didn't hear your background when you were with us before, maybe just a quick run through on your background and how it led you into, sales and sales management, lead tracking, the whole thing.
Sure. Well, again, thanks for having me on. Hopefully, I don't put anyone to sleep this morning. I grew up in Michigan. I started in the furniture business when I was 18 years old. Spent about 20 years of my career in the furniture and mattress industry. A lot of those years with Mattress Firm. Through a pretty meteoric rise, we went from about 250 stores to 4,000. I think we had almost 250 stores here in Houston when I left. And so there was a great ride. I got to do a lot of different things. Part of that was managing our franchising, where I got to understand business ownership a little bit more. I got to oversee our training department. We worked within that group for a number of years. And then ultimately leading our business development group, which was anything from non-brick and mortar, multi-channel sales, where we would do events, e-commerce, rebuilding the website, deploying a new e-com program, as well as the call centers that we built and developed there. That was kind of my first taste of call center management. I got to go meet with Tony Shea at Zappos before he passed away, and got some of the customer-centric techniques that you can use in call centers that actually make it a better experience for the customer rather than a hassle for the customer. So after that, I got into a little bit more of my entrepreneurial roots, which was in events and concerts, conventions, corporate meetings, planned a number of different things, and was traveling all across the world doing really cool events. And then I did what anyone sane would do, is I opened a Buy Here, Pay Here dealership with some friends.
Yeah, of course, that's a natural progression. Yeah.
Yes, typical progression. And a friend of mine, his dad was in the Buy Here, Pay Here business for years, and he had invested with his dad. And then I was looking to grow a business and put some of the things that I knew to play. And we saw an incredible opportunity in this space. I think we initially thought we were going to be selling cars, and we realized it was a lot more of building a finance company, and our widgets were not, in fact, car sales. They were the accounts that we were getting. So, we had a pretty good sized portfolio, 1,500 accounts, and built that up with 3 stores, about 30,000 square foot mechanic shop. Really got to know the Buy Here, Pay Here business well. Attended just about every TIADA, NIADA event. Saw Jim and Michelle speak a number of times. Frantically took notes, trying to absorb as much as I could from them and other people who were, I was surprised, were so willing to share such valuable information, especially within the associations. It's amazing to me, and I'm very thankful for it. So I was 5 years the dealer principal at our dealership, managing the day-to-day operations as well as the bank relationships. And when we sold our portfolio last summer, obviously the car buying was a little bit more hectic than we wanted to deal with at that time. We sold the portfolio, and I partnered up with the company that was doing my call center work. See, we had every function that could be outsourced. So every phone call that came in, whether it was sales, service, warranty, insurance, CPI, it all went through the phone center, and ultimately leading to collections being managed through that same group as well. So Crystal and Louise are my business partners, and they've been doing this business for a number of years, have had a number of successful customers and clients, and it's been really a fun ride working with them and learning from them. And now we're helping some dealers really improve the processes that make the customer shopping experience easier, making the underwriting process easier for the customer and for the dealer, and hopefully making the whole process more enjoyable for both parties, the customer and the dealer.
Yeah, and we're finding that the value, as we've been working with you, and just the value of having access to outsourcing certain things. And it has been really pretty. It's been fun to sit and as we've had conversations with some of our clients, and you can see lights go off, and it's like, oh, I can outsource that, and and so just we're becoming more and more advocates for certain parts of the process. If you can, then go ahead, and unless you've got a rock star on your team that really knows how to just manage leads, not sales necessarily, but really, really manage a lead and get them, being really responsive and asking the right questions and making it a human interaction and engagement. And
Jason, I would just say that I'm going to share your email address before the end of the broadcast. I'm just going to tell our listeners, don't get Jason too busy yet.
Yeah. And
we've got some clients we're bringing on, and we're certainly enjoying the the onboarding process and the whole experience. But I can tell you, Jason, the clients that we have approached and introduced, they're thrilled about the outsourced solution. And I would just also say, from my perspective, a couple things. Clearly, what you have in Crystal and Luis, two highly experienced, very capable, and brilliant people.
Yeah.
So an excellent team, and certainly know their stuff. And then your background, check me if I'm wrong here, but it seems like the vast part of your background has been, or a big part of your experience has been in the sales process, right? I mean, obviously you were introduced to the collections and a lot of the back end stuff in your time as a buy here, pay here dealer, but a lot of your experience prior to that was really on the sales side, which is mostly what we're here to talk about today.
And thank you so much, because you do have, you're drawing upon some of the things that Luis and Crystal understand, that you've learned from them as well through your experience with them and your own, so that we can freely give to dealers. It's like, and so this isn't necessarily a sales pitch for Jason. It's it's like, if outsourcing is an option, then that we would suggest that you talk to Jason about it. But that this is Jason's here to, like, here are some of the things that are really important for you to be watching, to be measuring, to be looking at, as a dealer, just in your own dealership, so that you can have a better experience with getting those leads converted into sales. So.
Yeah. And I would say that, what we hope to share here on these shows and with y'all, hey, Shelly, we really, I was given so much free information through the associations and the know-how to do it. We're happy to share how to do it. If you need help doing it, we can help do it too. Sure. Right. Yeah. And so that's what we hope to be able to provide with these shows and the talks that we do. Is here's the information. We're not hiding it. There's no secret playbook. I mean, there's some things we might do that we think are unique, but the reality is that many of the things that we're talking about here, you can execute with your team. Sure. If you find that you want to grow a little bit faster, or you feel like maybe this is a way to get it done better through outsourcing, absolutely. The hard part about outsourcing, and what I've heard many people say, many dealers say when I talk to them is, I've outsourced before, or I heard somebody outsource and it was a horror story. They got put into a call center. They're doing medical debt collection. They're doing reservations for restaurants. And they just have all these different specialties that they do. And sure, they can show you, we can make so many more phone calls than you, and more phone calls is going to be more dollars. That's really probably true. But this buy here, pay here customer tends to act a little differently, behave a little differently. And if you're not aware of some of those things, and understanding of the position that they're in, the fear that they have, the disappointment that they've experienced through other dealerships, the mistreatment, oftentimes lying sometimes, if you understand that and you understand this customer, it's much easier for you to bring them into the store and build trust with them, which is really what you're trying to do through this pre-sale process.
And just one last plug for Luis and Crystal is there is a lot of years and heavy experience in buy here, pay here there. Yeah. A lot. I mean, they deeply understand the buy here, pay here customer.
Yeah. So I think what I see with you guys is, it's you want to systematize it, if that's the right word, and also remain personal, or create a personal connection with the consumer. So maybe take us how you do that. I mean, let's talk
what you would suggest to a dealer. What are the steps?
If we talk specifically about a BDC, or would be a BDR, business development rep, I'm like, what's that process look like with you guys?
Yeah, I mean, look, you think about the name of the structure: Business Development Center or Business Development Rep. They're there to develop business. And how do you develop business in the car business? Is you get more customers to come into your store and buy cars, right? And so how are you developing that? What are you doing with that? And so as anything that gets developed, there's different stages and there's different efforts that are made within those phases. And so the first thing is you have your marketing dollars, and everyone spends a ton of money on marketing or effort or brand awareness. And there's all these people that either know about you or want to buy a car from you. And then that next thing down is when they become a lead. And this is where everyone kind of defines this differently. And so to me, a lead is where we've communicated with that human being. through Facebook Messenger, through email, through text message. They've expressed interest and responded to you. You have a lead. You have someone who wants your information, at least. And then the next step down from a lead is, can you get them to set an appointment? Can you get them to commit to Tuesday at 2:00 or tomorrow afternoon, whatever they'll commit to? And then do they come in for that appointment? The last phase is in-store visit. So marketing, lead, appointment setting, in-store visit, and then hopefully a sale.
Right.
And so if you look at it as a process, that's what you're trying to develop. And out of 100 leads, you want to be able to get 1 to 5 sales out of those 100 leads. Again, however you define your lead. And so that trickle down effect, each segment has less and less people in it. You're filtering because they live 97 miles away. You're filtering because they said they just had a repo, or you're filtering because they didn't respond to you, or they set an appointment and didn't show up. So all of those, if you're measuring those each month, really the shorter time you can do it, weekly is great, monthly is fine. If you can measure those by month, you're then able to say, man, we're doing really good on leads, and we're getting a lot of people to say they will come in, but no one's actually coming in. So now you can identify that segment, and you can go after that and attack that piece and say, we're setting appointments at 9:00 in the morning when we first open up. Well, no one's around at 9:00. Maybe we should set our appointments for 4:00. And so then you start looking at it and you say, well, all of our appointments are on Saturday because that's when everyone says they want to come in. We'll try to set appointments more for Wednesday and Thursdays when you're a little slower. So looking through that lens is kind of how I think about a lead in general. And as a dealer, what you should push your team to do is share with you, how many leads did we have? How many of those leads did they commit to an appointment? How many of those appointments came into the store? And then how many of those sold a car or bought a car? And so that's the overview. So and then I can dive deep into each one of those segments.
Well, I would, if I may interject.
I think you just did.
I just did. Sorry. And it's
politely, though.
Yeah.
Very nicely. Yeah.
Is that, the first thing, all dealers out there listening, and this is something that Jim and I are always really encouraging dealers, like strongly encouraging dealers, is measure. And the more, you don't want to get like so granular that they wore tennis shoes in, whatever, but that you're getting granular about where someone has entered that funnel. And like, we're currently working with a few different clients, and we have that have Neo. And so we're, they have a new thing where you can create a tag with each one of the people that are coming in as a lead. And so we're starting to really define, it's like, are they a lot up, but they heard about you on Facebook? And so it's tag. Are they a lot up, but they are a referral? I mean, tag. And so that we're trying to figure out how, we get a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more focused on how people are coming in, because that's where, from our experience, it's like just seeing where they're coming in from. That's where you're putting your marketing dollars for one.
Yeah. And I can also say, Jason, that one of the things we see is that in our own efforts, because traditionally over the years, we've worked most of our time with the clients in the DMS, right? We're over there on the operational side, but more recently we started to work with dealers inside the CRM and look at the lead tracking, lead counts, and that sort of thing. And wow, the disparity between one dealer, you got some dealers with super high lead counts and low closing ratios, and some are, the other way. And so it's an interesting thing. We got to measure it and start to break down, what's going on. And so I think for our conversation today, we're kind of leaving marketing out there, how you actually go out and market yourself and get the people to create an inquiry and to start a lead. That's a different conversation for a future day. I think today we're mostly focused on once your marketing connects and somebody hits your website and starts an inquiry, then what does that lead flow look like? So you want to take us into some of the mechanics of how you guys kind of march that. Let's just say I just started a lead at the website and started an inquiry. You guys pick it up in the CRM. Like what does
that look like?
One?
Yeah. So first of all, most dealers have CRMs. They have varying degrees of capabilities with tagging and other instances. But I would say you have to have some sort of CRM. Theoretically, an Excel spreadsheet could be a CRM. Not ideal, obviously. The ideal flow is that a lead comes in from the website or Facebook or whatever marketing tactic you're using, a landing page. And then let's say they fill out an application, or they say, hey, I'd like for more information. So now that from marketing has become a lead. At that point, this is about nurturing is the term that gets used a lot, is to nurture this lead. So what does that mean? That's a coupling of technology and human interaction. So when you set up your CRM for the first time, and for some people the last time, they will set it up and it'll have sequencing or flows that you put to it. So a customer sends you an email at midnight. No one's there responding. You get an automatic response that says, thanks for filling out the application, or thanks for whatever. So there's a technology that is helping you nurture that lead. And then there should be ones that are set up for, 1 day, 2 days, 5 days, 7, 17, and beyond. We mentioned in the last episode that there are leads that are 6 months old in this business. And buy here, pay here. Don't quit on a lead. Obviously, less and less. But many dealers who are tracking this will see 10% or so of their monthly sales come from leads that are 6 months old or older. So don't stop chasing your leads.
Yeah. If they're continuing to nurture that lead, that 10% can be that. Yeah.
So if you're bored today, go to your CRM and take all your leads that are a year old and newer and remarket to them. And some people will say, hey, get bent, leave me alone. I bought a car. Some won't respond, but some will respond. And so then it's not just one attempt, right? It's the old fable of the boy loves girl, and he has to say to her, pick away a little bit at her heart each day, and try to find more of that relationship to be built. Same thing with this car customer. So people don't want to talk on the phone. They don't want to pick it up. They might, but they are at work, or they're in a conversation, or they're not ready, or they don't recognize the number. So getting them on the phone, the old adage of just get them on the phone, it doesn't always work. So you really have to be good and tactical at DMs, at text messages, and following up at times that the buy here, pay here customer is around. We tend to find that it's either early in the morning as they're getting ready or going to work. Lunchtime obviously is a good time. After work is very good. Obviously, weekends are important for this customer. Late night are important for this customer. But they don't need to talk to anyone at night. But what they want to do is they want to put their information out there sometimes at night. And then they want to get some information back from you. We refer to it as an information swap. You're really trying to swap information throughout this process with the customer. So you get, what's your name? I'm Jason with this dealership. What kind of car are you looking for? So you're answering a question and you're following it with a question. I learned that on day 2 of the car business.
Yeah.
One thing that I think is important to talk about, we see a lot of times that dealers, their salespeople are the ones that handle all leads. And typically salespeople are the busiest at lunchtime, first thing in the morning, and later on in the afternoon. And that what you're saying too is that those are the best times to communicate with. And so salespeople are probably trying to reach out to people in between their busy times, but their busy times are the same.
Yes. And that's why I advocate for a BDC department, so that you are, hey, Bill, that your focus is the lead. There's the age-old question that every salesperson will ask you at some point. Boss, which one's more important? The customer in front of me or the customer that is on the phone? Which one? Well, they're both important. Well, I can't replicate myself. Yeah. And so what a BDC will do is they will be fully focused on that lead when the time is important and when the customer is available. One of the first things I'll do when I go into work with a dealer is I'll look at the timestamps that the messages are sent out. And so many times you see dealers between 9 o'clock and 11 o'clock, salespeople sending out emails. Why? Well, they're sitting there having a cup of coffee, responding to the CRM. Hey, at least they're doing it. Yeah. But a lot of times that customer's not always there.
Right.
We got a comment from George from Florida. Hey, good morning, George. One key we teach in follow-up is always offer something, usually a little more information. You never have to mention following up or checking in. The customer will always tell you where they are on the road to the sale. Thank you for
and that. One of the things I might do while George is chiming in, and this is no reflection on you, George, but one of my responsibilities on the morning show is often to interpret for the gray-haired generation. And so Jason mentioned DMs. He means direct messages or private messages. So I'm just trying to translate that for.
And again, I want to. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Just focus again. This is not about this conversation when we talk about BDRs. Business development rep, that is something that can be in-house, that is a direct employee of the dealer. So this is not necessarily like the only way you can have a BDR is if you outsource a BDC. This is just about having someone that can be there to do that during the, and being able to communicate with the dealers, or not dealers, but the customers during.
And let me just tell you, Jason, as a former dealer myself, or if I were that dealer or sales manager, my salesperson asked me which customer is important, my answer to them is going to be, you take care of the customer that's on the lot. I'll hire a BDR to go take care of the one that's online. Right.
Amen.
That's the right answer. Yeah.
I mean, that's the only thing, because we've all been there. You've been at some, box store or whatever, and you're standing there as a customer in the building, and they answer a phone call from outside the building. I'm like, that person may or may not be a customer. I'm a customer. I'm standing in the building. So it's like, that's why I think, we prioritize that, but it's one more argument for outsourcing. Mm-hmm. And having somebody available to handle those leads, as they come.
Yeah. And Karen asks, good advice, George. And she says, how large is a dealership need to be before it hires a BDC or a BDR or a BDR?
Yeah. So that's one of the beautiful things about BHPH is all the acronyms that we have to remember.
Yeah. Isn't it?
So, my answer would be, I think it depends on a number of different things. An old adage is you either hire too late or you hire too early. Yeah. And so it's a tough question to answer. What I would say is, if you're doing 15 or more sales a month, you probably, and you want to grow beyond that, mm-hmm. you would probably want to put someone in the seat to be a business development rep. The business development manager, to me, kind of symbolizes an upper level person who's managing people versus doing the work.
Yeah.
And so as a business development manager, where you have multiple reps, you're probably into the 30 to 40 or 50 sales a month before you need a manager to oversee that. I think the owner or probably the head of underwriting should oversee the BDC if it's not the owner. If you have an underwriting person or underwriting department or collections department, I would rather see that person manage the BDC than the sales team manage the BDC. Well, people think that's a little bit weird, and you don't have to do it that way, but they understand the discipline that needs to happen in a call center if they're running collections and they're doing your underwriting. They also understand that the front end of the sale affects the back end of the sale. And so the sales managers, oftentimes, you want them to be hard cut on, I want to sell as many cars as possible. Let the underwriting and BDC and make sure that it's the right customer, for sure. But that's just my own personal opinion.
Are there any metrics for you? You mentioned how many sales a month. It's a good idea to bring them in. Are there any metrics you would say for how many leads are coming in through the website and things like that? Because, we see some where their leads are their sales come a lot just from on the lot. It's like repeat customers and that kind of stuff. So is there anything that you would say, if you're getting 100 leads a week, that's a really good opportunity or something?
Yeah. Again, if you go back and watch the last week's episode that I was on, we talked about what is a good lead and a bad lead. Mm-hmm. And so if you get a bad lead, then 100 doesn't matter, right? You could have 100 bad leads or 25 good leads. So I think from a marketing standpoint, you want to make sure that you're getting the right leads before you let that be your key metric. Okay. The other thing I would say is, if you should be able to get between 70 and 85% of your sales should come through your marketing channels, and the remainder should be walk in from the lot. Good. So if you're getting 10 sales a month walk in from the lot and you're only getting 5 sales through your marketing, your leads are bad, or your process in your BDC area is bad, because that's too many of a percentage of your total sales that are coming in as walk-ins. We had A+ real estate for 500 below cars. I was on 610. We had 250,000 people drive past us every day. 85% of our customers came in through digital leads.
Yeah.
And our lead spend was much lower than anyone else's that I had heard on average. Not because we were better marketers. I think we were all right, but it's because we've leveraged our marketing spend so well through this process that I'm explaining here.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Good. Yeah. And I would say I look forward to a continuing conversation with you on the marketing side, because we just find that dealers, and it's not meant as an indictment, it's just something they don't have an opportunity to learn. A lot of times people step into the buy here, pay here business because they're car people or whatever, and not necessarily have this experience. But also, you talk about quality of leads. Sometimes we don't put in the effort to identify the persona that is our ideal customer, and then get our messaging right in the marketing to appeal to that one customer. And that was going to translate into quality of leads, right? We're just kind of shotgunning. And so we're going to have, and our BDR is going to be tied up with unqualified leads.
Yeah. And then everyone's complaining about the leads, and there's no, we're getting 100 and we're making 0 sales. Okay.
Sure.
Well, your process looks good. Everyone's doing the right thing. It's just bad leads. So that's where you start with that funnel of marketing first, then to lead.
Right.
So then if you got 5 or 6 different areas of marketing that are trying to generate leads, and these 2 areas are really great at generating the leads, and these 3 are terrible, you'll see that if you're measuring it. You'll see what your Facebook leads give you, which, by the way, are usually your best leads, although sometimes the hardest to get at. You can target by demographic and area a little bit. Challenging, and you got to do it the right way. But there are every way you can advertise is out there. Some will work better for small town dealers. Some will work better for large dealers. Some will work better for multi-store chains. So you just got to figure out what's right for you. And you do that through measuring and data and checking that information. And then the other thing that I think is, anyone that's been in this business for more than 10 years, they didn't have to advertise. 10 years ago, I would have been crazy if I would have said 85% of my traffic came in from advertising. I had a dealer in Chicago once tell me that he had 85% or 90% of his customers were repeat and referral. And I go, oh my gosh, that's amazing. That must mean you take great care of your customers. You're doing all the right stuff. He said, no, what it says to me is that we suck at marketing. He was being a little humble. They had a great business, right?
Different perspective though, but it's,
Yeah,
that's true. We're I looked up at the time and I was like, oh my goodness, there is so much still, just like last time we had you on, so much still to unpack. And we only got to, hey, these are the times that you need to be able to have a communication with a human person. And we covered a couple of other high points, but there's still, we didn't even get into all the different stuff that you wanted to talk about. So once they come in, how does that look?
I was sure on the screen.
I would say at a high level, those numbers, that right there that Jim just put up, if you can, and maybe move all of them back one, and number one is marketing. But from what I said today, number one, lead handling. So if you listen to this, just say, do everything you can to set an appointment. First of all, measure it. That way you know what you're doing. Then what your first task is setting appointments. If you set an appointment, you've had a conversion metric with this customer. They've committed to coming in. Then once you get good at that and you see, all right, we set 10 appointments this week and none of them showed up. Okay, what are we doing the day before the appointment, the hour before the appointment? What are we doing if they don't come in? What incentive are we giving to come in? Are we offering them a discount, a lower down payment, a better car, $100 off, a free oil change? There's 1,000 different tactics you can take, but just go after the appointment and then go after the in-store visit. Because once they're in the store, our people are great closers.
They are.
Right? The customer will determine we don't want to sell them, or they will buy. And so that's really boiled down into a short sentence. Figure out your way to set the appointment, and then follow up with them and make sure they come in, and you're good. that's really the basics of it.
I think that we can probably have you come back on. Let's kind of dive more into actually how the process of setting an appointment.
Sure.
Of getting into that. And then I would love to have you come back also and let's talk about the front end part, the marketing part, and the how we can leverage what it is that we're doing so that we have the highest success rate of actually getting people that are good qualified leads.
And can I just say, I love that topic. Like I love talking, messaging and connecting with the consumer and finding ways on your marketing to get out there and get the customer to respond to to actually, to be moved to act.
Yeah.
So that's fun stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, let me share Jason's email address because again,
send all your hate mail.
Yeah. Send all that. And
there will be no hate mail, Jason.
Yeah. Oh, wait.
And Jim, I don't mean to correct you, but I think that's supposed to be a period, not a comma.
It is supposed to be, yeah. So
not a comma.
That's what happens when your vision is fading.
Jim's got one mind on his fishing pole and the other one on his computer.
Appreciate the understanding. Yeah, no, that's scopexpros.com. And so you can reach Jason. I would tell you they're well positioned to scale and bring on clients, certainly, and they can certainly do a lot of good for folks. And Jason, one of the things we're hearing with some of our clients is, wow, I could solve that problem on my lead management and sales side because and my building, I really don't have room for a salesperson, right? And so having somebody off site to handle all that is really exciting for some of our clients. So it's a nice thing to look at.
Yeah.
And we do offer training as well. If you have an internal set of reps and they're doing, what you think to be a good job or an okay job, or they're good people and they just want to be trained, we can do that as well. So we do handle the outsourcing. We can do it for you. We can train you, or happy to just provide some advice for folks as well.
Sure.
Awesome. Yep. Jason, if you want to stick around backstage, we'll figure out what your schedule looks like to have you come back and you're not tired of us yet, right?
No, not at all. Not
Good.
at all. I love to hear myself talk, Michelle.
Perfect.
We'd love having you. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. All right. So we'll see you backstage in just a minute. Thanks so much for joining us again. All right. So moral of the story is
don't miss the morning show.
Don't miss the morning show.
Jason's got a lot of good stuff.
Well, and it's like I loved some of the things that he talked about with about when to reach out to your customers, and it's usually when your salespeople are the busiest. And so it's like it seems a lot of dealers, when we talk to them, it's like we're having to bring in an extra person. Well, how many sales would it take, increasing sales, for that to be a no-brainer? Mm-hmm. And so it's like it's the delta between starting them and to where you're bringing in enough sales that it makes a difference, and then things can hum along, and you're reaping the benefits of something that you were willing to get out there and create this position because that it's an investment in your company.
Not to mention the operational analyst in me says if I engage a BDR and they put lots of appointments out there and we get lots of people in the building, we're not closing them. It helps me identify where my problem is and where it's not.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's a good way to kind of figure out exactly where the breakdown may be. But we want to talk to more people.
Absolutely. So we're going to see if we can get Jason on maybe next week, and so we can continue this conversation. I think it's super high valuable bits of nuggets that dealers can really act on themselves. Hey, thanks so much for joining. Happy Friday. We will be recording for Monday because we're
we'll be out with the chipmunks.
So we're going fishing.
Yeah.
Have a great weekend, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in.